Hello, and welcome to the Unit 4 session series focused on best practices. During this module, titled From Data to Mobility Options, we will focus on best practices from the Osijek Metropolitan Area Pilot. This module is structured in a way to firstly give an introduction on Osijek, its metropolitan area, then moving on to the related transport options, overall pilot goals, and related options modeling for business zones, employees' everyday travels, and finishing up with the midterm expected impact. For those of you not familiar with Croatia, city of Osijek is an administrative center of Eastern Croatia region with a population of approximately 120,000 inhabitants. Osijek has a long-standing tradition in public transport systems operating since 1884, when the first horse and carriage tram system was introduced. Today, citizens move around the area using their own personal vehicles, which are still prevailing option, public transport options which span across tram and bus network, and public shared systems like e-scooters, bikes, and electric bikes. Our pilot goals were multifold. First, we wanted to assess current commuting patterns for the three business zones, each with different characteristics, in order to define the baseline situation. Based on that, the development and calibration of the traffic model for the pilot area was envisaged. Next, the goal was to develop three mobility scenarios per business zone, all targeted towards employees' travels and focused on sustainable transport options. Comparison of different commuting mobility options based on the executed data collection, interviews with companies' employees, and traffic modeling was essential. Finally, and not less important, was the evidence-based creation for local government's decision-making process and related future policy measures, all based on the modeling results. If you look at the map of Osijek wider area, you can see the three business zones, S-Cesta, IT Park, and Nemeti, located on western, central, and eastern part respectively. Data collection for the development of the traffic model was executed using defined traffic counting locations marked as green dots. The counting process covered all transport modes used across the territory. Besides that, the additional focused data collection was executed specifically towards business zones employees' traveling habits to and from these zones. Next, current travel patterns analysis was executed with a specific focus on business zones. Existing and planned projects impacting the transport system and their related impacts were taken into consideration during modeling possible mobility scenarios for business zones connections. We will now elaborate on the current state of each business zone and suggested mobility scenarios that could impact mid-term model split improvements towards sustainable options as a result of the aforementioned transport modeling activities. S-Cesta zone is located at the western entrance to the city. It is a newly opened business zone focused on attracting small and medium enterprises. At this time, there are no railway or train connections to this zone. In terms of the bus network, three lines operate with a station nearby. Currently, walking and cycling for employees are not very attractive due to the underdeveloped infrastructure, i.e., no dedicated cycling or walking routes. The vast majority of employees traveling to this zone use their personal cars with a single occupancy, yet they are open to switch to other means of transport if those are to be available in a timely manner and related to their needs. Three business zones commuting scenarios for the S-Cesta zone were defined: biking, carpooling, and public transport. Biking scenario is focused on investments in promotion, citizen awareness raising, and in cycling infrastructure, all aligned to achieve targeted biking option use increase from 1.9%, which is quite low. Carpooling scenario is focused on the reduction in number of private car trips on heavily used links to and from the business zone, thereby going towards the decrease of personal car use from 95.9% going forward. Public transport scenario is focused on the public transport modifications, specifically an increase of scheduled departures from 96 being the baseline to 112 in 2027 and to 300 in 2037 with the newly introduced bus line. This will go towards an increase of public transport use from 2.2% to higher targets in 2027 and in 2037. In practice, these scenarios could be implemented as a singular or a combined multi-scenario in order to further increase desired modal splits. The second business zone in our pilot, called the IT Park, is centrally located, only 2 kilometers from the city center. This zone is specialized IT innovation hub with offices, labs, co-working spaces, and conference facilities hosting IT companies and startups. In terms of public transport, there are 2 tram lines and 7 bus lines available nearby, as well as a railway station. Different cycling routes are accessible near the zone, including bike sharing facilities. Nearly all of the employees traveling to this zone still use their personal cars with a single occupancy, although other means of transport are available near the zone. Their rationale is that personal cars give them more flexibility than other options. Similar 3 business commuting scenarios for the IT Park zone were defined and modeled. Biking scenario is focused on investments in promotion, citizens' awareness raising, and in biking infrastructure, all aligned to achieve targeted biking option use increase from 2.4%, which is also quite low. Like in previous business zone, carpooling scenario is focused on the reduction in a number of private car trips on heavily used links to and from the business zone, thereby going towards the decrease of personal car use from 95.9% going forward. Here, public transport scenario is also focused on public transport modifications, specifically an increase of scheduled departures from 20, being the baseline, to 39 in 2027 and to 62 in 2037. This will go towards an increase of public transport use from 1.7% to higher targets in 2027 and 2037. Similar to previous zone, these scenarios could be implemented as a singular or combined multi-scenario in order to further increase desired modal splits. The third business zone in our pilot, called Nemetin, is located at the eastern entrance to the city. This is the oldest business zone, specialized for medium-sized manufacturing and processing companies. In terms of public transport services, there are no tram lines near the zone, yet 2 bus lines operate quite close to the zone. There is a railway station near the zone as well. The biggest challenge is the lack of walking and cycling routes that connects the zone to other routes. As a consequence of aforementioned challenges, nearly all of the employees traveling to and from this business zone still use their personal cars with a single occupancy. Nevertheless, they are open to switch to other means of transport if those are to be available in a timely manner and aligned to their needs. Moving forward, similar scenarios were modeled for the third zone. Biking scenario is focused on investments in promotion, citizens' awareness raising, but also in cycling and walking infrastructure build-out, all aligned to achieve targeted biking option use increase from practically zero. carpooling scenario is focused on the reduction in a number of private car trips on heavily used links to and from the business zone, thereby going towards the decrease of personal car use from 98.5% going forward. Public transport scenario is focused on the public transport modifications, specifically an increase of scheduled departures from 9 being the baseline to 35 in 2027 and to 39 in 2037. This will go towards an increase of public transport use from 1.6% to higher targets in 2027 and 2037. These scenarios, like in previous zones, could be implemented as a singular or a combined multi-scenario in order to further increase desired modal splits. To conclude, all of these model scenarios with specific approaches per each business zone should facilitate the reduction of congestions on heavily used links to and from the business zone. They should also assist in shifting business zone employees towards the use of more sustainable transport modes, either personal or public. By modifying current public transport lines and departure schedules, better home-to-work to home connections should be achieved and incentivized. The modeling results and regular updates, supported by data collection plan, will serve as an evidence basis for local policy amendments and the related implementation measures. This pilot will serve as a stepping stone towards follow-up transport modeling efforts for these three business zones employees in the mid and long term, in order to achieve ambitious goals defined by the local government. If you'd like to know more about our pilot or the overall project activities, please check our website and follow our project on LinkedIn. There, you can also forward any questions to our project manager using the provided contact information. Thank you for your attention, and I hope you will enjoy the rest of the course.